What's up, y'all? It's Monday, which means it's time for Nerdolitics. Welcome to the show, everybody. Jackie will be here in just a minute. So while we're waiting for Jackie, let's get those comments coming in. How is everybody doing today? How do you about these comic book things? Are we talking about you just weren't aware of what comic books were, or we're talking about like Nerdolitics? Hey, Brett. It's good to see you. Who else is here? Hey, Notori. Welcome to the show. It's good to see you. Love you, too. So good to see you. Got all your flames. It's good to see you, Brett. Thanks, everyone, so much for being here. Hey, Aspen Fallen. Volcanoes. Yes, all the volcanoes. Love it. Ooh, Brett, you're listening from Scotland. That's awesome. I love Scotland. I wish I could go there. I really wish I could go there. Hey, Les Bones. Oh, got Aspen Fallen again. Hey, Aspen. And Les Bones. What's up, Les Bones? So, of course, my neighbor has decided that he's going to mow his lawn this afternoon while we're streaming. So if you guys hear it, just let me know. Hopefully it's not too much of a problem. So today, hey, Malik. It's good to see you, Malik. Pop you up there. It's good to see you, Malik. So Nadia says, I've never followed comic books. Hopefully they are good agitprop for communist revolution and dictatorships of the proletariat. Some are really good for that. I couldn't name them, like some of them off the top of my head, though there's actually a really good version of, thank you, Lawnmower Guy.
Yeah, thank you, Lawnmower Guy. Why am I
and it's Jackie. What's up, Jackie?
Hi. Oh,
yeah,
just everyday shit.
So Jackie, can you recommend any comic books for Nadia that are good agitprop?
I'm not good at that because I stick to the mainstream, and I feel like that's better suited for someone who knows, like, who reads a lot of the indie comics, which I don't. But
there is a really good Elseworld story in DC called Red Sun, in which Superman lands in Russia instead of the United States. And like basically what would happen if that were the case. So I mean, I would probably check that one out. Oh, good. The louder is barely audible. We can't hear your background landscaping. Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you,
can't hear it.
Hi,
Brett.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much.
Indeed. All right. So guess what? You know how it's normally, how it's always you who didn't watch The Bad Batch?
Uh-oh. You didn't watch The Bad Batch?
I didn't watch The Bad Batch.
That is okay.
I'm a bad
And ironically, I did.
Of course you did, because I didn't. It's so funny because as I was not watching it, I thought to myself, $10 Meg actually watched it this week. I
did.
Yep.
I actually watched it this week.
Should have bet myself. I would have been $10 richer.
Yep. And it was good. How are you with spoilers? Do you like spoilers or no?
Normally I don't, but I feel like I had so many opportunities to watch it that like it's all on me, There was a lot going on. Anywho.
Yeah.
So feel free, like I've spoiled it for you multiple times. Feel free to spoil it for me. I'll still watch it.
I mean, we can just since we're talking about DC today, I have a couple stories that we can talk about. So we don't necessarily have to talk about Bad Batch. Although, if you guys want us to talk about Bad Batch, we will.
It's up to y'all. Let the people choose.
Yes, you
So
get to
sure the
decide.
people.
Bad Batch or no Bad Batch? Yay or nay?
Thanks to the 2 people watching us on Rockfin and to everybody
Yay.
listening to us out there in Radio Land.
Hello, Radioland.
Did we just start? We started a few minutes ago. 5.5 minutes ago.
Basically, we're just doing intros right now, Matthew. You're right on time. We haven't talked about anything important yet. So, should we get into the stories?
Skip the batch.
Skip the batch.
Ooh.
Hot take.
Okay. Go ahead. Do you have any news for this week or current events?
So since we're doing a DC day today, and then next week we'll get back into our time travel.
Sorry, go ahead.
Next week we'll get back into our dystopian series, and we'll put out a new poll to decide what you guys want us to talk about. So definitely one of us will get a new poll out this week. That way we can narrow down which dystopia we're going to talk about next week. But so today is going to be a DC day since the new Suicide Squad movie just came out. And Jackie and I have both watched it because it is available on HBO Max for free.
Well,
I mean free if you pay
HBO
for the
Max.
service.
You have to pay for HBO. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yay, dystopia.
Yay, dystopia. Thank you, Quaker Socialists. Yes, we all love a good dystopia. Not really. Oh, speaking of dystopia, though, we did just make our Politics of the Hunger Games video accessible to everyone on YouTube and Rockfin, so you can watch that now. And I will be uploading on this will be a Rockfin exclusive probably for the rest of time. I'm going to put a behind-the-scenes video from when we recorded the Politics of the Hunger Games video, so you guys can see all the shenanigans that went on. It was a lot of fun.
For real, I promise you, most of us were sober. At least I was. I don't know about everybody else.
I was perfectly sober.
I don't know about that. You had the giggles really bad.
I did have the giggles really bad. It was good times though. That was a good. I enjoyed that show. I did. Because we had socialist ASMR. You know, we were talking politics of the Hunger Games. It was a good time.
Yeah.
You and your pizza. You and your pizza.
I forgot about the pizza. Okay, now people are gonna want to see it just because of what we're talking about. But yeah, that was kind of funny.
Yeah. It was good times, guys. You will probably crack up. I rewatched it and I was cracking up just remembering all the I was literally crying. I was laughing so hard. Okay, so a couple of stories that are related to DC and to the Suicide Squad. So first up, this is not a new story, but we haven't covered it yet. So I wanted to bring it up. I did talk about it a little bit on my show, but I think this is a fairly big deal, and so I wanted to bring it here for you guys as well.
Oh man,
and that's you thought we would get away with not talking about this, didn't you?
I mean, it's like a month old at this point.
I know, but we haven't talked about it so I don't have your perspective on this. So apparently, this came from the creators of the Harley Quinn animated series that in the new 3rd season that should be coming out probably within the next few months, they were going to have a moment where Batman was going to go down on Catwoman. And DC was like, no, you can't do that. You absolutely cannot do that. They're like, heroes don't do that. Heroes don't do that. Shall I repeat it one more time?
Nope. We got it.
They were like, no, it's all. And they were asking, like, so are you saying heroes are just selfish lovers? And they were like, no, is that we sell consumer toys for heroes. It's hard to sell a toy if Batman is also going down on someone. I love this. Is DJ Khaled on the board of DC?
What? I do not get that reference.
Because DJ Khaled said that he won't go down on his wife.
Why do people tell us things like that and they won't bathe? We don't need to know, okay? These are your personal, private thoughts. I don't care. I want to think about Jake Gyllenhaal just being hot, not that he smells. Don't tell us this shit, okay? Let us idolize you from afar instead of from real close, okay?
Yeah. But like, here's my whole thing about it. It is just that whole point of heroes don't do that. It's like, I'm sorry, in my world, a hero would be willing to pleasure his woman. Because pleasure, like, like, I'm sorry, but in my mind, that's the truth. If you are not willing to have equality in the bedroom, why the hell do I expect you? And of course, and here's another point that I want to make about this too, is that wouldn't it get around Gotham if Bruce Wayne was not going down? If he was not a very good lover? Considering he's the biggest playboy in DC Comics, wouldn't this get around Gotham?
Yeah.
Thank you. You're welcome, Brett. Yes, his wife is laughing in the background. You're welcome. Maybe. I'm thinking so. Like, it's getting around Gotham that Bruce Wayne is not a very generous lover.
You know what, David? Me too. That's all I can say.
Okay, well, what is your perspective on this? Bruce
You know
Wayne
what,
just
J7?
has all kinds of privilege.
You know what, J7? I honestly don't know anymore. Okay. Thought we were going to talk DC. Didn't know we were going to go there because apparently Bruce Wayne doesn't.
Yep.
Freaking Kiko. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, this is wrong. I'm just gonna show the comments. I'm not even gonna like comment myself. Just the
you
comments.
have no commentary whatsoever on this.
No. Okay. There are a lot of people I follow on TikTok that cover stuff like this, and
do you have any TikTok videos on this? That would be hilarious.
Oh boy, I mean, like a month ago, yeah, that's a long time ago. But Panda Red is a really good one, and he pointed out that it's not true, and he did a skit where Lois was saying that like there was a news article, like he made it seem in universe, like there's a news article that Bruce Wayne doesn't go down on Selena, and actually no, sorry, it was the other way around. It was Superman talking to Lois Lane, and she was like, "Oh, it's not true," and he was like, "Yeah, wait, how do you know?" And so he took up with him too. And then Goofy did several where he was like, "Oh no, he definitely does," and he does, and he just went into like all this extra stuff. And then he did a series on all of the different men in the DC Comics universe and the Marvel Comics universe that definitely do. So if you want to see, you know what, David? You're damn straight. So yeah. That's not why, but it's kind of turning into a reason. So yeah, that my comment is to go on TikTok and follow Panda Red, and I think he's the Panda Red, and Straw Hat Goofy, and see their content on it. Both of those guys are really good creators, and they have funny takes that are better than anything I can say because I'm extremely uncomfortable right now. So anything else that you wanted to talk about?
Okay, so the other point here of the fact that the reason that they can't let Batman go down on Catwoman is because they can't sell toys if if a superhero is going down on his lady friend. Like, I'm sorry, but what children are you letting watch Harley Quinn? Because Harley Quinn is very grown. Harley Quinn is a very grown up show, y'all. If you haven't watched it,
yeah,
it's a very grown up show. And okay, go ahead.
My comment on that. So I'll comment on that part. Okay. So my comment on that part is that they have a character in the DC comics that is always nude. A male, full frontal, constantly nude. They have.
Are we talking about
where we've seen the Batwang?
Are we talking about the blue balls of wonder?
They have had comics where Batman has sex with Dick Grayson's girlfriend. So superheroes can do all of that, but they can't, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so ridiculous. It's just another, you know what it is? I'm going to tie this into socialism. Haha, I'm bringing it back full circle. Mm-hmm. If the workers own the means of production, they wouldn't have had to deal with that stupid ass exec, because workers would realize all the shit that they've had done in the comics that specifically Bruce Wayne has done in the comics, and they would be like, this is probably the most normal. It's just like that scene in Iron Man, in the first Iron Man, where Pepper walks in and he's trying to get out of the suit, and he's like suspended midair, and he looks at her and he's like, this is not the weirdest thing you've ever walked in on me doing. That. Okay. That is what I'll say. So yes,
J7, we were referring to Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl, aka Oracle.
Oh, yes, she has way too many names. But yeah, he definitely like he did that in there's so many things that you don't want your heroes to do that they still let them do. And that's such a benign thing. Like, what's the big deal? Just
right. That is
let them do it.
That is such a natural part of sexuality. Like, this is part of, I just did an entire video about this, guys, with Dr. Lori Mintz, in which we talked about the orgasm gap and how women have fewer orgasms than men. So definitely go check out that video, because this is very much related to that.
You still want to keep the article up?
No, we can close it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I love how, like, the first time we really talk about comics, like, this is what we bring up. Yeah, so two women talk about comics, and then we're like, why won't Batman go down? That's not how I would have chosen to start it, but, you know, here we are.
Well, this has been angering me for weeks, because we haven't talked about it. I've been angry about this for weeks, guys. I really have. Because, like, this is just another layer of privilege that Bruce Wayne has. Like, he already has wealth privilege. And, like, we know that Catwoman is not, a wealthy girl. She's a cat burglar. So the fact that he is also denying her pleasure, like, this just pisses me off. It pisses me off a lot. And I feel like if he's not willing to go down, Catwoman just move on. On the first fight. Oh, I think you're talking about Suicide Squad. Yes, exactly. If Batman will not go down on Catwoman should not go down on Batman. Just saying. If we're talking about orgasm equality here.
This is the Meg stream of Nerdolitics. I'm just here for the producing. I'm going to let you go.
It's completely true. It's like, if we want orgasm equality, if we want pleasure equality, then Batman better go down if he wants Catwoman to go down. Like, I am not for all this privilege. He is already a billionaire. He has enough privilege. He doesn't need pleasure privilege too. I will leave it at that. And we can talk about the other story. And that's... So if you want to come back in, Jackie, you're more than welcome.
Don't go, David. We're changing. We're moving on. You're good. Stay, David. Stay.
We are talking about a news story now. Okay. All right, we are moving on. So the next story that I want, and this is related to Suicide Squad, which we're going to be talking about today. And there was this other article that came out from Collider, in which James Gunn talked about the difference between working with Marvel versus DC. So I think you will probably have an opinion on this. So according to whoa, why am I hearing music?
I have no idea. I'm not hearing music.
Okay, it's annoying.
Are your earbuds picking up something around you or something?
Okay, there was a video. That's why.
Oh, okay.
That was annoying. I was just like, it came up and I heard music. I was like, whoa, I can't hear anything else.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so director James Gunn finds himself in the unique position of having made big movies for rivals Marvel and DC. I don't think he's the only one. I feel like there are a couple more people. Definitely actors have done both studios.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but he concisely explained the difference in working for the two studios to The Hollywood Reporter in a new interview. Gunn has earned the best reviews for his career for The Suicide Squad. That's an interesting point. His soft reboot of director David Ayer's widely maligned but crucially commercially successful 2016 film. Prior to that, he directed 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies, yada, yada, yada. All right, so he says, Kevin Feige is the producer on the Guardians movies. Peter Safran is the producer on this movie, meaning The Suicide Squad. At Marvel, they serve the roles of producer and of studio, really. And at DC, there's a studio and then there's a producer. So it's very different in that respect. And actually, I've answered, okay. That is very, I didn't understand anything that just said. Hold on. Did you understand the point he was trying to make? I didn't really. You did? Okay.
Yes.
All right. In the New York Times interview, Gunn said that Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige gives more notes and is way more involved with editing than people are at Warner Brothers. And he tipped his hat to the new brass at WB and said that he was given unprecedented creative freedom. And it shows. The Suicide Squad is nothing if not the inhibited creative expression of one man. Collider's own Matt Goldberg wrote in his review that Gunn's sensibilities are all over this film, from the gory violence to the pitch black sense of humor to the concept of found family among a group of rejects. Okay, so basically, from what I'm understanding, is that the big difference at Marvel versus DC is that DC gives their creators a lot more creative freedom versus Marvel. But of course, we know at Marvel, like there is very by the book, and Kevin Feige has everything kind of up in his head of what he wants to happen. And so, of course, he does have a lot of notes because, it has to fit within a very, and this is kind of a critique of Marvel in a way, that they are very formulaic, but that formula tends to work. But, it's very much within a Kevin Feige's, like a very Kevin Feige purview of, okay, this is the storyline that we have, this is direction, but you can create whatever you want just within the confines of of this storyline that we're already creating. Whereas DC is just like, okay, just do whatever the fuck you want.
Okay. I would say yes and no, because are you done with the thing?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. The reason why is because you have to realize, like, specifically with James Gunn, there is a difference between him and other people, and also the timing of Gunn coming in. So his perspective is going to be different than other directors. So, excuse me. So with James Gunn, he had already had success with 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and he helped write. Anytime you see a Guardians character in another movie, whether it's like Avengers or whatever, he wrote the lyrics, or not the lyrics. He wrote their lines. Some lines are ad-libbed, but for the most part, he wrote those lines. And the reason why he was able to have such success and be left completely alone to do Suicide Squad is because WB was in this position. Like, he came in right at the WB merger, and not Suicide Squad, sorry. The DCEU was dying. It was floundering, and Marvel had just let him go. And DC jumped in to grab him because they were like, hey, we tried with Zack Snyder. That didn't work. Okay, but there's a reason why it didn't work with Zack Snyder. We'll get into that in a minute. But that does have to do with why it worked with James Gunn. Because they trusted him specifically because of his track record with Marvel. So they let him go. No other director's getting that sweetheart deal. Okay. So his situation is a bit more biased than the average director is going to get when it comes to specifically the DCEU. So when you were saying earlier, like, do I get what he meant? Yes. What he meant was Marvel, like, technically there are layers to Marvel, right? You've got the Disney Corporation, the Marvel, like the heads of Marvel, like the CEOs and all that. And then you've got producers, and then you've got the directors and the talent, right? But the way Bob Iger, like you've talked about this before, the way Bob Iger runs Disney is, hey, Marvel's doing well. I'm going to let Feige handle that. He can act as, like, he can make all the decisions for that because he's doing a really good job. And I'm just leave him alone. That's what he means by, like, with Marvel, there are producers, like everything, like you were right in that everything is set from Feige. But the reason why is because Marvel is an interconnected universe, and Feige needs certain seeds to be planted for the tree that he wants to grow in 5 to 10 years. So each film is told, you have to plant this seed. You can do it however you want. You can make it, whatever, but you've got to plant the seed. And because Marvel is tied to Disney, you can't go too far outside of the lines. Like DC was actually perfect for him, specifically because coming from Trauma Studios, his thing was gore, and his thing was like the rated R violence that you see in Suicide Squad. So that was perfect for him. Whereas him working for Marvel, which is still owned by Disney, he can't have full frontal nudity. He can't have heads literally explode. Or if they do, they have to be shown off camera. You have to hear it but not see it. And so I can see why this is his perspective. But the key takeaway here is this is his perspective. This is not a generic, like, this is how DC Marvel is. DC literally brought him in to save their sinking ship. On Marvel, he was brought in as just another director to helm just another property because they were already flourishing. So it's a completely different scenario, and he's a completely different director. DC has the reputation for being darker in tone. They don't have Disney owning them. He could do whatever he wants. So I can see why to him he had way more freedom. But again, this is circumstantial. It is just because the way of the situation he came in, and just because it's him.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that to a certain extent, because this has been kind of like a modus operandi for DC, is that they have been known to, kind of be creator controlled. But that unfortunately has, one of the reasons that DC has had problems versus Marvel is that there hasn't been any kind of force that says, like, okay, this is the direction that we're going. And that's why even with the Snyderverse, it was all kind of painted within the lens of Zack Snyder. But DC, they had no faith in what Zack Snyder was doing. And so they were like changing things all the time based on, they were being very reactionary. And even though they have been very creator controlled, it's like a very weird dichotomy that they were having there of being creator controlled, but having a lot of control and a lot of notes. Kind of different.
See, that's what I mean. Like, I don't think DC ever really, until they brought in Gunn, which they did because the ship was sinking, they weren't creator control. That's the problem. Is like they would bring in somebody like Zack Snyder and say, okay, make your film, and then he would have a million notes and he'd have to change a bunch of things, and it turns out it was studio interference left and right, as you saw with the Snyder Cut. So that's what I mean. Like, until James Gunn came in, WB was studio executives, And the only reason why they didn't get involved is because that's what I mean. Like the climate when he came in, the studio executives weren't even sure if they would have a job because there was a merger from being bought by AT&T. So they pretty much just left him alone. So, and on top of that, they were like, well, maybe like he's so successful. That's why they gave him the license for that. They did the same thing with Zack Snyder on his first movie. They let him make Man of Steel how he wanted, but then they interfered with everything after. And Zack Snyder was supposed to be their producer that was going to be like their Kevin Feige, but they kept getting in the way. They wouldn't let him do it the way he wanted. He didn't want to do Batman v Superman the next movie. He wanted to do a Man of Steel 2. And the studio interference. That's what I mean. Like it's like the problem of WB is the studio interference. And the only reason why he didn't get why James Gunn didn't experience it is because of the very specific circumstances of him coming in. But that's the whole problem with WB was or with the DCEU. It's the WB studio interference. Hi, Lawrence.
Hey, Lawrence. But yeah, but I think definitely I agree with what you're saying. And I think the point I was trying to make was that like you kind of see across all their movies, there is no through line. And that's what Kevin Feige is able to offer is a through line, that storyline. He's the Immortus. He's, creating the timeline of, what's happening. He is Kevin Feige is he who remains. There is no he who remains in the DC world. It's just like, it's just chaos over there because they're just kind of throwing things against the wall to see what will stick. And very much so like that. But I agree that James Gunn's taste level and his just like the things that he likes to do fit very well with DC. And I like what that review had to say of, you can feel James Gunn all over this damn movie. And we'll definitely get into more of the movie in just a moment. But yeah, so I think James Gunn definitely fits the DC mold of, having that darker tone and being able to have, people's heads explode whenever the hell they want to, or whenever he wants to, or whatever. But I do think, though, that because there's such a lack of leadership at WB, that all their properties are so disparate now. It's like, okay, wait, is this linked to this? Is like, and you can definitely tell that
kind of like the comic.
They're like pocket universes now. Like, yeah, I mean, it is very much like the comic. It's just like it's a lot of chaos.
Story, or is this canon? I don't.
Exactly. Like, and you can't really tell. Like, okay, because now we're going to have. Also, they just cast Batgirl for their HBO Max movie, who is being played by a actress of color. So it's like, oh, okay, so she's gonna be Jeffrey Wright's daughter in the new Robert Pattinson film. Like, is that the universe we're gonna be in? No, they're bringing back J.K. Simmons from the Snyderverse to play her dad. Like, what?
Wait, I thought they were done with the Snyderverse.
I know. Now I'm confused.
Because
what universe are we in?
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. That Warner Brothers is just kind of throwing shit against the wall to see what will stick. They've got a whole thing of spaghetti, and there's like, okay, will this one stick? Is this one done? Is this one done? Is this because you know how you throw spaghetti against the wall to see if it's finished?
I mean, I don't, but sure.
I mean, I don't either, but I heard that that's what people do. I've heard this.
I feel like there are better ways to tell if your spaghetti is done. For one, you could look at it. Two, you could take whatever utensil you're using to stir it, and you could pick it up.
But this is how WB operates. They take their spaghetti and throw it against the wall to see if it's done.
Well,
they want to see if it sticks.
Same thing with the movies. Like, you could listen to fans. Just saying.
But no, this is absolutely true, Matt. That's exactly what happened with the Ayer cut. Is that David Ayer turned in Suicide Squad, and it was a much more dramatic film. But then they gave it to a trailer company who created that. There was the trailer with the Bohemian Rhapsody song, I think. with the one that was Bohemian Rhapsody in the background. So they were like, oh, let's use these trailer guys to recut the movie to make it more exciting and more colorful, because we're trying to get away from the Snyderverse, the darkness. We can't have the dark tone. So we're going to give it to these guys. We're going to re-edit the film, and they completely jacked it up. That's why a lot of people are asking now for the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad. That's a good one, E. Heller. I like that one. I've heard that people do that. I don't know. But it is true, though, that that's exactly what they did, because they wanted their Guardians of the Galaxy film. But
yeah, so
they completely botched
after
it.
people started doing the release the Snyder cut, Ayer started releasing his, and everybody. So now, like, everybody thought that the hashtag was going to start trending release the Ayer cut, and that's when WB was like, "We're never going to do that." So, because I feel like they really aren't ever going to do it, because, especially when you have the Justice Leagues and the Snyder cut. If you get an Ayer cut of Suicide Squad, it will show just how much they fucked up in doing it, and letting a video what did you say it was,
trailer
like
company.
A trailer company do editing for a feature length film. That's why it felt like a music video from the 90s.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
It was not good. It was horribly edited.
Hey, just so you know, because Don Hooligan is like, this pro-capitalism BS. How is any of this relevant? This is our channel.
We're not pro-capitalism. We're not
pro-capitalism. We're talking about stuff that's going on, but this is our channel. We can do what we want. You don't like it? Make your own channel. So
yeah, I mean, we're not trying to make a pro-capitalist argument here. Like, personally, I think that, and we've talked about this before, I personally think that the workers at WB and Disney should seize the means of production, and that they should get to decide, instead of, bringing AT&T, who is a completely different company, or, I mean, at least Disney is, they're a film distribution company. AT&T are all about telecommunications. They had no idea what the fuck they were doing.
Yep.
They had no clue. And yet they wanted to make decisions for a movie distribution company. And we're seeing... So that made no sense. And actually, I'm very interested to see what's going to happen now that Discovery has acquired Warner Brothers. I'll be very interested to see what happens, because I hear that they are much more creator controlled at Discovery. So we'll... because that's what I like. I like creator control. I like worker ownership, and that they should get a piece of what's happening. That's what socialism is. Also, it doesn't mean that they can't. That doesn't mean that they can't make a profit, but everyone should enjoy the surplus.
Yeah. So in other words, the way movie studios operate is everybody gets most people who work on a film are union, right? And everybody gets their pay and their benefits from the movie. Certain people like directors, producers, and like really high profile actors will get a cut of the profit. After everything is paid for, any profits that are made go straight to the studio. And most of that money goes right to the CEOs, who did fuck all about this movie. So what we're saying is, let the people who make the movie make the money for the movie.
Yep.
In other words, we're saying get rid of studios. Just have distribution deals with major studios. Let them just be the distributors, and let them bankroll the movie, and give them, reverse it. Give the distributors and the people who bankroll a movie, give them a cut, and then the profit should go back to the people who actually make the movie. And not just the actors and directors and producers, but the gaffers and the craft services and the costuming people.
The editors, the sound mixers.
Exactly. Instead of everybody just getting one cut. The first AD, they get pennies compared to what everybody else gets on the set of a movie. But their job is just as important as the main actor. Because without them, the main actor has no idea what the fuck they're doing. So
absolutely.
That's what we're saying. We're saying we're still socialist, and we're saying that these movies would actually be better if you put the control in the hands of the creative people. And if you just give them the money to do the things that they do best and then let them do it. Instead of having the capitalist warlords of Warner Brothers be the ones to go, oh, it's our money and we're going to reap the benefits of it. So we're going to tell you what to do, even though we're not even remotely creative. We have no idea what's going on. We've never read a comic in our lives. And we have no idea about the pulse of people. Because you got to realize these people are like super rich. They are the Bruce Waynes, okay? Bruce Wayne has no idea what's going on in Gotham, aside, like on the street level, because he's fucking Bruce Wayne, right?
He just likes to go beat up poor people.
He puts on a costume and beats up poor people. Yes.
Yeah.
What
Batman is a policy problem.
Yes. There's a comic line where they actually bring that up. I can't remember the story because it was a while ago, but there is a line where I think it's the one where the Joker turns into the good guy. Yeah. It's like
White Knight?
White Knight. Yeah, thank you. Where like the Joker becomes kind of like sober for a while, and he points out that Batman is a policy problem. And he's like, look at all of the destruction. Like Batman might get a few criminals off the streets, but they end up like the worst ones, like me, end up going to Arkham. We get out anyway. So what is he really doing? Meanwhile, he's causing billions of dollars of damage, and he's not really like doing anything. And he like had to hang up the cape for a while. And I was like, this is awesome. So
it's 100% true.
Yeah.
Yeah, even SNL did a really good sketch about that. Like where like there were people at like a food drive or something. I think it was around the time that Joker came out, and there was like, oh yeah, Batman was in Gotham again, messing shit up, and now, like he ruined my house.
Yeah,
he destroyed my house. Now I know where to live. Thanks, Batman.
There's a person on TikTok. I think their entire account turned into being superhero insurance.
Yeah, there was a show about that too. There was a show about that. It was on NBC. It had Vanessa Hudgens in it, like the insurance companies in superhero world. I know I saw that show too.
Yeah, so this woman, I think she's a real life, like she used to work for an insurance company.
Oh, that was fun.
She'd seen like a couple superhero movies, and she was just jokingly doing it for like, I think the Avengers. She started out, and then people were like, more, and then like her whole channel turned into it, and she like blew up. So it was like each TikTok is a call of like an insurance agent being like, no, I'm sorry. So Spider-Man destroyed the roof of your car. I'm sorry. You have the Hulk insurance. Like it's like so funny and sad because it's true. Like that's how.
Like, I'm sorry. You only have Smash insurance. You do not have web insurance.
Or like Thor blew your house up with a bolt of lightning. Yes, that is technically considered an act of God. We do cover that. I love it.
That's amazing. I appreciate that's the type of content I am here for.
Yeah.
Because it's so true. Like all these superheroes are truly policy problems.
One thing I'm gonna push back on, like Gary says China is the top of the entertainment food chain. India is the top of the entertainment food chain. The United States is 2, China is 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of Americans have never heard of Bollywood, but that doesn't mean literally the rest of the world hasn't. So, like India is, they might have actually eclipsed Hollywood if they haven't, but they're the ones at the top of the entertainment food chain because they've got like not just movies but also like singing, dancing, TV shows, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree with Jamie. Creative arts studios should be worker co-ops. If they were, these movies would rarely suck. And that's because I agree with that because we talked about this a little bit with Franco last week, that the studios, because they're trying to make money, they're very risk averse. So that's why they keep generating the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Like how many step up movies do we need? How many step up movies do we need? How many Fast and Furious movies do we really need?
Oh, hey, well, no. We need all 10 of those. Don't go there with the family,
Alright.
okay? You can't touch the family.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. But
we
seriously,
don't need a live action version of everything Disney has ever done. We don't just
oh
say
god,
it.
like we need to have
Rarely
Lindsay
is the
Ellis
live
on to
action
talk
version
about.
as good.
Yeah.
It is almost never better. Just go
Mhm.
watch that again. But the reason
True.
why they're doing is, like you said,
It's
they don't.
nostalgia.
They're playing on your nostalgia, hoping you'll pay, and you do. And that's why they bought Star Wars. Studios are just into what's going to make me money. These executives are not creative in the slightest, so they don't know and they don't care. They just think, I need, like, what has brought in money in the past. I'm going to do that 100 times until I stop getting money, and then I'll search for the next thing that's making money. And they have no idea. They have no proper analysis as to why it's making money. It makes money because it touches on something that we like, we feel. And the funny thing is, the reason why things like The Matrix, The Godfather, and Star Wars blew up so well, the way they did, is because when they came out, they were something new. They were something brand new,
100%.
but they touched on something. They hit something on the zeitgeist that hadn't been explored. And we won't have that now because studios just want to keep giving you Star Wars, The Matrix, and things that have already worked.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is that whenever a movie like that does hit big, whether even like Terminator 2, because Terminator 2 is one of my favorite movies of all time. But the crazy thing is they don't understand what it is that the executives don't anyway. They don't understand what it is that makes those movies successful. So they just think, oh, if I just reproduce that movie, and just tweak a couple of things, then I can recreate that, lightning in a bottle. It's like, no, that's not what it was. Like, you actually need a good storyline. That's why Terminator 3 sucked. Why Terminator 4 sucked. Why Terminator 5 sucked. Because they did not understand what made those movies good.
Yeah. The reason why Terminator 2 did so well is because it continued the story, but it gave us something brand new. It gave us the same characters, but we saw them in a new light. Because when we first saw the Terminator, he was just a machine that had one mission: kill Sarah Connor. And now we see him, we're like, oh shit, he's going to kill Sarah Connor. Nope, now he's going to save her. And you're like, wait, what? That's something new. It's a new slant. And then when we saw Sarah Connor, she was just this, waitress working she was a regular person.
Right. Now she's a badass.
When we see her now, she's this like fucking like total badass, could kick a Marine's ass, and like is prepared for the apocalypse, And now we get a new character in John Connor, but he fits well into the story and it all works. It's technically the same as before, but it's completely new at the same time.
Yeah,
so
and you also kind of added that. Yeah, and you added that kind of dynamic too, which I think this is the part that they tried to capitalize on that didn't work, was the boy and his dog, because he's trying to train the Terminator how to be a human.
Yeah.
So it's a boy. They added that part into it too.
I think I don't remember the numbers anymore because there are too many of them. But the one with the one where the Terminator didn't know he was a Terminator, the one with Christian Bale.
Salvation. Yeah, I enjoyed that one.
That one could have been so much better.
It could have. I agree.
With a couple of things, and that could have actually been a really good one because the elements were there. It's like something new where the main character is a Terminator, but he doesn't know he's a Terminator.
Right.
That could have worked so well. It just, the execution was terrible.
Right. And also the fact that we have John Connor during the war, which we had never had before.
Yes. And instead of it going back and forth, we're just there, that would have, it was set up to be better. The execution was not good. Same thing for the one with, where John Connor is the Terminator. That one, it was trying to rely too heavily on the past to make it the whole Kyle Reese goes back and we start that all over again. But this time it's different because Sarah Connor, the Terminator came back a long time ago. Sarah Connor already knows, so they try to go back to the nostalgia of 2, where like she's a badass and and the Terminator is already there to help, but it doesn't make sense.
No.
And then, like, if you had thrown all of that out and
words.
you just had a plot twist in a movie where the trailer didn't spoil it, that John Connor is the Terminator, and you had the movie built around how he became the Terminator, that could have been a really good movie. Mm-hmm. So they have the elements there in place in all the other movies. Yeah. Same thing with 3, where they were like, let's just show how it actually happens. And they have like another super badass Terminator, but this time it's a woman. The elements are in place. It's the execution that's just ass. The only one where that's not the case is the 5th one, Dark Fate. That was just stupid. That was literally just a retread.
Which I think technically is the 6th one.
Okay, whatever.
No, because
so technically it's the 3rd one, because this one is a reach. They basically said all the rest after 2 weren't canon, but it's also the dumbest one.
Yeah,
and yeah,
Gary, those are fighting words.
Gary woke up and chose violence. That's what happened. There is not a human on this planet who actually believes that. Gary's just trolling us.
I think so too.
Genocide had some good stuff.
Although I do agree that Salvation is kind of underrated. It could have been better.
Yeah.
There was the seeds were there. They just didn't.
It was the execution.
Just didn't fertilize them properly. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, like it's with 3, 4, and 5, the seeds were there. Like on paper, it sounded good. The plot, they just executed it horribly, with the exception of 5. I will say 5, like the twist in 5 was really good. They should have built the movie around that. And it should have been an actual, like, it should have been like The Sixth Sense, where you think it's just a carbon copy Terminator movie. And then in the end, you're like, holy shit, John Connor's a Terminator. And that's just a whole, like, blows your mind. But instead you saw it in the trailer and it was stupid. And it had nothing to do with, like, it had very little to do with the plot. Because... Agreed. And especially at the end, like this one has an end credit scene for those who didn't watch it. The end credit scene, fucking Skynet comes up. Anyway, Skynet's like some self-generated AI, and he exists anyway. So there was no point to the whole fucking movie. So yeah, it was. Yeah. Don't write out your own movie, okay? Don't create a plot and then fucking end it, and then at the end be like, psych, nothing happened. Like, don't do that.
No,
that's exactly what Genesis did, or the way they spelled it, genocide.
I agree, Jamie. It ends with T2.
Yes,
but we'll do a whole video about Terminator at some point.
Because we need to. I think we just did.
I know. Like we were on DC and then somehow ended up on Terminator, which is cool with me because I do love Terminator.
The he chose violence. The T2 Terminator was a wimp. Do you mean Mr. Badass himself, the T-1000? I was 16 years old. I wasn't even 16. I don't know. I was a teenager. And I was like, oh my God, that is the baddest villain ever since Darth Vader. Are you fucking kidding me? What Terminator is more badass than T1 motherfucking thousand? Anyway.
But there's a reason he wouldn't shoot the cops. Like, it's not that he didn't want to shoot the cops. Like, yeah. But he almost shot the cop. Like, he wanted to shoot the cops, but then it was John Connor saying, like, no, you can't kill people. You just can't. And that's why, like, he shot him in the leg. It's like, what'd you do that for? He'll live. He's fine.
So, okay.
That's a great moment.
So, in T2, so now I'm confused because you were talking about Arnold's Terminator T-800. I was talking about T-1000, Patrick, I can't remember his name, but anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. He was a badass. Like, he literally was like liquid steel. Like, he went through things.
Man, Robert Patrick was awesome in that movie.
Dude, Robert Patrick, thank you. Do you remember when, like, the first time you heard of or, like, saw when John Connor was on the phone with the woman who was watching him? She's not his stepmom.
His foster mom. His foster mom.
Right?
Yeah.
And Terminator hangs up and goes, your mother is already dead. Like, what the fuck? That was awesome. Okay, we're gonna talk about Terminator all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Dude,
we need to do a whole video just on Terminator.
Not only could he shapeshift, he would leave little pieces of himself, and then they would like liquefy and then rejoin. It was awesome. And he, like, you genuinely did feel like, so the stakes were totally amped up because in the first Terminator, like, Arnold in the 80s was very much like an unstoppable force. And you're like, how are humans going to beat him? And now you have Arnold on your side and you're thinking like, oh, what's the threat? And then you see the threat and you're like, I still don't think they're going to win. You could have an army of Arnolds and that one motherfucker is going to beat him. Like, it had real stake. Okay, let's move on because I'm just going to talk about Terminator all day. Anywho, yeah,
Gary, that's not true. Like, literally, the T-1000 killed both of his foster parents.
Yeah.
How can you say they didn't kill one human? They killed multiple humans.
T2 killed, like, the T-1000, he killed all of the people. He had a wake of bodies. And if he didn't kill you, it means you weren't in his way. Because he had a mission. His mission was to find John Connor and eliminate John Connor. So he was actively, it's kind of like in It Follows, where, like, you know, the force keeps coming after you. That's what he was doing, but he had to do intel to figure out where John was. He was just after John Connor. He didn't give a shit about anybody else. And the only reason
Dyson died too
was to keep them from being in the way. Like when he was, he killed John Connor's mother only because he had to take a sample of her so that he could become her. Like, that's the only reason. He didn't kill her because she was going to stop him or anything. Like, she couldn't stop him. But he killed her so that he could become her to mimic her voice. But I love how, and
the security guard, too.
Your mother is already dead. And you're like, what? Yeah. Like, that's crazy.
So body count. Miles Dyson died.
Yes.
His foster parents died. The security guard, the T-1000, killed the security guard. Remember, he stabbed him right through the eye. And then took his place. So plenty of people were maimed, guys.
Yep.
Like Gary.
This is not true because Last Action Hero was really stupid. So
I actually like Kindergarten Cop.
Kindergarten Cop.
Okay, let's not. Okay, let's get back on track. We've done a Terminator detour. Let's get back to the Suicide Squad.
Okay.
Talk about murder. Talk about more murder. Wow, there's a huge body count in this movie.
Talking about murder. That's always a great
we were just talking about body counts. This movie had a huge body count. Holy shit.
Yes.
Wow. So many people died.
Okay, so spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the new Suicide Squad and you don't want it spoiled, go away, come back next week, watch this later because you'll want somebody to talk to about it. If you're okay with spoilers or you've already seen it. So within the first like 10 minutes of the movie, just death everywhere. Like after you get past that actually even in the initial scene, he kills a fucking bird. And I'm like, immediately as I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, so James Gunn wants us to know these guys are bad guys. He does not want us to like be endured to these guys. He wants us to remember these motherfuckers kill people. And that is a theme he will maintain throughout the movie. Like even as we kind of fall for the Idris Elba character, he constantly says, I'm not a good guy throughout the movie. And like he's got all these different ways of killing people, and he like glorifies how he murders people. And yeah, he does kind of give a sob story, a little bit of like how he became that way. But he is repeatedly like, I am not a good guy. We even get to see with Harley Quinn, oh yeah, she's nuts. You know, because like the things she does, you're like, it's kind of funny, but she's also crazy. Like it's So,
Jamie, yes, the Suicide Squad movie is in theaters and it is also on HBO Max.
Yes.
So you can watch it either way.
We watched it on HBO Max.
Yes.
Gary, we've moved on to the Suicide Squad, dude. We can talk Terminator later.
Oh, but let me answer Brett's question. Two Sarah Connors died. Two Sarah Connors died. Two. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Gary, you are really choosing violence today.
Right? Harley Quinn is played out. Psh. Harley Quinn is not played out, good sir.
Although, I will say this, is that I don't know that I love how Harley Quinn is being written.
Yeah, sometimes she's written like ass. But the way, like, okay, so we could have a side talk on Harley Quinn real quick.
Yeah, go.
So she's a funny character. She's an interesting character because she's actually, like, even though she portrays the dumb blonde trope, but she's actually brilliant. She's literally a psychologist. She has like multiple doctorates. Okay. But she'll put on the makeup and pretend to be the dumb blonde in a heartbeat, but she's like close to a genius. She's pretty much as smart as Batman, like almost as smart as Batman. But the issue that sometimes you can have with Harley Quinn is that she can be written to glorify codependency and abusive relationships. Inherently, she's supposed to be a character that is like a do not do this. But sometimes people lose that nuance when they write her. Yeah, so agreed. That's kind of the issue I have with Harley Quinn. And you know what? You're talking to two women. Maybe you want to change your tone there, Gary. How you gonna come up in here in a feminist podcast talking to two women and be like, without a dude, Harley Quinn is incomplete? You want all the smoke. You want it all right now. That's what you just said. Go ahead, so Meg. I'm gonna let you have.
Like, honestly, there are only two well-written versions of Harley Quinn in my mind. The first one is Batman, the animated series. The second is the Harley Quinn animated show. And the whole purpose of Harley Quinn is, I kind of agree with what you're saying, is that, she's made to be a character of, the cautionary tale. But one of the things that is so brilliant about her, and one of the comics, I can't remember the title right now. I'll have to look it up and we can put it into the description. But there's a story in the comics, and it's basically where the Joker and Harley break up. Because, Harley she's a brilliant woman, but she's always latched on to the Joker for very unhealthy reasons. It's just a cycle of violence that, and I actually have a great post about this I can probably share if people are interested in that. I wrote about the cycle that Harley Quinn is always into and what happens with domestic violence, women who are involved in domestic violence relationships. And this is a moment where she finally breaks free. And one of the reasons that she is able to break free from this is because of her female friendships. Her relationship with Poison Ivy is one of the most amazing relationships that they've written for Harley, because she's not only a friend, in a lot of instances, a lover as well, but Poison Ivy is able to help her break free from the Joker's manipulation of her. Because it's the cycle of violence of a domestic abuser, of the honeymoon period where everything is fantastic. Then you make a mistake and he beats you. Then there's a redemption arc, and then we're back into the honeymoon phase. And it's just this cycle of, he won't hit me. He won't do it again. He's apologized. He's a good man, and I know he has a good heart. But then it happens over and over and over again. And it's just this cycle of, there's this little kernel of hope that women who experience domestic violence hold on to, of, this I love this guy, he's a good man, he's not, like, even though he hits me, maybe there's something I do to deserve it. And Harley Quinn is such a good characterization of that. But then she breaks free from it when finally the Joker, and like, there's so many good stories, but this one is particularly good because the Joker has created, or has taken over, this theme park after Harley has broken him out of prison. And it's this basically DC themed park, and they're building a Joker roller coaster. And so he tells Harley, because he can't, because he's healing from all of his wounds, because after just escape from Arkham again. So he's healing from his wounds. So he puts Harley in control of them manipulating the roller coaster so that it's basically a death trap for whoever rides it. And all his goons are not happy about the fact that he put Harley in charge, but eventually they come to really respect Harley. And they prefer to work with Harley than they do with the Joker. And the Joker becomes so enraged and jealous, it becomes his goal to not only build this roller coaster, but also to kill Harley. And so he goes to murder Harley, and Poison Ivy has taken her place. And so he's beating up Harley. Harley shows up, and it's finally a realization to her that he doesn't give a shit about her. If she's in the way, if he sees her as competition, because there have been cases, particularly in like the Mad Love storyline, where Harley has captured Batman and basically figured out how to make the Joker's piranha trap work. And so when she tells the Joker that this trap worked, he shows up and throws Harley out a window because Harley's not allowed to be the one to kill Batman. He has to be the one to kill Batman. So he sees her as a competitor, where she sees him as a collaborator. She wants to collaborate with the Joker, but he sees her as competition. So when she finally breaks that, she becomes an empowered character because she's able to be on her own for the first time. And she has a fantastic solo comic that you guys can check out. But again, not a lot of people know how to write her correctly, because a lot of the times either she's just a crazy person or she's a sex pot. And there's very few times where they have it in between, and very few times that they get her right. So, and the Harley Quinn animated series is one time where they get it right, where she's able to break free and become a empowered character and really take on Gotham for herself. But one of the ways she's able to do this is through her female friendships, like her relationship with Harley Quinn. Like they need to just bring Poison Ivy in already. She needs a good girlfriend that she can have a partnership with.
Like they end up in an actual relationship, not just being friends.
Yeah. But I mean, that's a very healthy relationship for her, though, because Poison Ivy wants her to be empowered and wants her to be her best self. She's not there to tear her down. She's there to lift her up. And I think that's the thing that I love most about their relationship, is that they do lift each other up. And that's the thing that I love about female friendship, particularly in comics and movies and things like that.
Gary said Kamala is Poison Ivy.
Where are you getting this shit?
No, not at all.
He is okay, Gary.
Poison Ivy is detrimental to men, but she's actually a decent character all on her own. Like Meg was just saying, like
she's an eco-terrorist.
Yeah,
she's good,
but she doesn't. Awesome. She's kind of like a female version of Swamp Man or Swamp Thing. What's his name?
Swamp Thing
or Swamp Man or Swamp Thing.
Thing.
Say thank you, Swamp Thing. Because if you don't fuck with the green, she won't fuck with you. Mm-hmm. But when you are fucking up, like when you're doing environmental damage, like there's another eco-terrorist, Aquaman. You keep fucking with the oceans. Like in the movie Aquaman, it was Ocean Master, his brother, who put all the junk back on the oceans. But
Ocean Master.
But it was actually Aquaman who did it. And was it I don't remember whether it was a comic or an anime. I think it was an animated series. I think it wasn't it Injustice? Didn't he do that in Injustice?
I don't remember.
It was a storyline where the Amazonians and the Atlanteans were fighting. I don't remember which one it was, but it was one of those where he did all that stuff. Oh boy. Okay.
I agree.
And here I thought you were going to highlight this comment.
Sorry.
No, not that one. I was trying to compliment you, woman.
Thank you, Robin.
Oh. Eco-terrorist Mother Nature.
Mm-hmm.
The virtual Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't the interpretations up for debate? I always thought that comics should introduce new characters rather than remaking, reinterpreting existing ones. Which one are you talking about? Are you talking about when we said that that Kamala Harris isn't
Yeah, I'm
Poison
confused.
Ivy? That we're saying that Poison Ivy is too good a character for Kamala Harris. That's what we're saying.
Mm.
That's what we mean.
Yeah. And
Kamala
there was another.
Harris,
Mm-hmm.
who would she be in DC? Who would she be in DC? That's a good question. If you were to take like political people and make them DC characters, who would they be?
Okay, who is?
Yeah, exactly.
Veronica
You stumped
Cale,
both
maybe?
of us.
Maybe Veronica Cale, who's a Wonder Woman villain.
Maybe.
There was
I don't know. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to think of. Like, I don't know. Because here's the thing: like, it has to be a villain that's like not very competent.
Yeah.
Somebody said Waller. No, not for Kamala Harris, because Waller is very effective at what she does. Kamala Harris got the same number of delegates that all of us did.
Although someone made an interesting, another reviewer that I watched made an interesting point about Waller in this movie, particularly at the end, about the fact that she was embarrassed by her staff.
Who was embarrassed? Kamala?
Amanda Waller.
Oh, Waller.
Because because just spoiler alert, she was about to blow all the remaining Suicide Squad's heads off because they were about to kick on Starro, and she was about to blow their heads off, and her staff knocked her out and started helping the Suicide Squad, and she did nothing about it. It's like, doesn't that kind of make her Kamala Harris?
No.
You don't know?
No.
But that was kind of like, that was so not Waller.
If anything, you know who Waller is, or who would be Waller in the political equivalent of Waller?
Mm-hmm.
It would be why can't I ever think of this woman's name? The comb salad woman.
Oh, Amy Klobuchar.
Yes, Amy Klobuchar.
Interesting.
That's Amanda Waller.
Interesting.
Very
I'm
angry,
intrigued.
very like high ranking but low level, and very angry, very like it's my way or the highway, yells at everybody, is willing to kill people if necessary. The Amy Klobuchar is Amanda Waller.
That's intriguing.
And I think that Matt was right. It is like she was a lawyer. She was the DA, right? She's a female Two-Face.
That is also excellent. Yeah. That is also an excellent character. I like that.
You know who I think Biden is?
Ooh, who?
Penguin. Why not?
I mean, I don't know that I can disagree with that.
This is the quality content you've come to expect from us here at Nerdolitics. Let's see.
Nixon was Thanos. Interesting. Okay, hey, we are not in Marvel world right now. We are in DC.
I was gonna say, like, what are you doing, man? Okay, so if we're sticking to DC, was it Reagan? I think the 1-2 punch of Reagan and Nixon were Darkseid.
Interesting.
Because their policies, like Nixon kind of laid the groundwork for Reagan. Reagan has like, we've basically had like 5 Reagans. Everybody after Reagan has just been a different version of Reagan. So I feel like he's the dark side. And he is the ultimate villain. He's the one who came up with Reaganomics. He's the one who ushered in the neocon, neoliberal crap that we've got today. Reagan's dark side.
I can't argue with that. I cannot argue with that.
Couch said Penguin isn't half dead, though. Depends on what comic you're reading.
Or maybe he's Mr. Freeze.
No, because Mr. Freeze is brilliant. He just had.
That's true.
He was like. So that's the thing.
True.
Marvel or not Marvel. DC has a lot of characters that are like actually, even though they may be villains or heroes, they're actually like geniuses, but they get fixated on one thing, and that kind of turns them into a villain or a hero. Like Batman is really just
depending on your perspective. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what does Mr. Freeze really care about? He cares about saving his wife's life.
Yep. All
that Poison Ivy cares about is saving the environment.
Exactly. Same thing with Swamp Thing. So really, there are a lot of characters that have 3 dimensions to them, and they're brilliant, but they just hone it in. Constantine, he's a dick. He only cares about 2 things: himself and his daughter. That's it. He's a brilliant magician, though. Probably better than even Dr. Fate, or whatever the fuck his name is. The Fate guy. What is his name? I suck at names, just so y'all know. So I'm gonna do this just like with everything. I'm gonna be like the one guy with the thing, and then the dude.
But the problem is that Dr. Fate, he's the reincarnation of a god. Is that damn helmet?
I was just gonna say it's just a helmet, though.
Yeah.
So but that's what I mean.
The helmet gets his powers.
Without the helmet, he's smart, but he's like Constantine doesn't need the helmet, and he's almost on his level. That's what I'm saying. Like, to me, if you take away the helmet from Dr. Fate, Constantine's more powerful.
Oh yeah, because Dr. Fate's just a guy. It's just Kurt. He's just Kurt.
Who was Lex Luthor?
Bezos.
Lex Luthor. So far, I'd have to go with what everybody else is saying and say that it's Bezos probably. Or perhaps he's an amalgam of like all the billionaires. Like maybe he's Bezos Bates. Gates. Bezos and Gates. He's Bates. I
feel like that could be accurate.
Yeah. Oh, Holly agrees with me. I don't know what you agree with me on because I read this far too late, but thank you. Do it. Do it, 7 of the J.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep, Reagan is on his 11th term. I think can't really count. Not 11th. I'm not that old. Damn. It's just wait, huh?
Reagan.
Okay, so
Reagan.
are you counting each presidency as a term or each individual election?
I think each term, yeah. So
each
Reagan,
election. Okay.
Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden. Yeah,
you're right.
11.
I'm old.
Reagan is on his 11th term. Jesus Christ.
Constantine, the British.
Jesus H. Roosevelt Christ.
Yeah, Dr. Fate is the helmet. That's what I'm saying. Like, you take the helmet off, and the dude is not as powerful as Constantine, the dude.
I'm trying to remember what Dr. Fate's actual name is. And I'm not talking about Kurt Nelson, the guy who wears the helmet. I'm talking about, I know Dr. Fate has an actual, like the helmet has an actual name. I can't think of what it is.
Bader Batter!
Hi. Hey, Bader!
You came late to our DC talk. We did this just for you, and you come late. You see the love?
Okay. Anyway, back to the Suicide Squad.
Bezos' dog. You know what? I would say Gates is closer to Doc Ock.
The J7 Zatara is a completely different character, man. Zatara is Zatanna's dad. No, Zatara is not Dr. Fate.
Biden is clearly a Nixon Democrat or much worse. Yes.
Although if you do watch what is it? The Young Justice, Zatara does eventually become Dr. Fate.
I do not. I've never seen it.
You should totally watch Young Justice. It's awesome.
Gates is
Nobu!
100%.
Nobu!
See?
Thank you, E. Heller. Nobu. Love you.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, Naboo, Tatooine? What? So I was like, how did Star Wars get in this?
Yeah, Nobu is the actual name of Dr. Fate.
Nobu. Okay. It says Nabu and I thought Naboo, like Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anywho. Gates is Dr. Octopus. I can see that. See? Second Joker versus Batman film made it end of Bush W. Once again, Joker destroys the evil establishment that Batman protects. Do you think when you watched the first Joker movie that he destroyed the evil establishment that Batman protected? First of all, Batman wasn't a thing yet. He was still a kid. Second of all, do you honestly think that the Joker in that movie actually destroyed the establishment? Because he didn't. As a matter of fact, those so-called riots didn't even happen. At the end of the movie, most of that movie was in his head. That was the classic trope of unreliable narrator. See, not as big a DC fan as Marvel. I know, but you know what you guys all are fans of? Nerdolitics.
Get the mug.
Merch. Link in description.
Merch. Nice promo. I appreciate it.
Thanks. You like the segue?
That was a fantastic segue.
Oh, not the first one, Nolan's. Oh, okay. Yeah, no. You said first. Okay. I thought you, because especially with you with the Joker face, I thought you meant the Joker. Okay. Gotcha. But he actually doesn't really destroy the establishment in that one either. Because if you remember, he set up the experiment. He set up the social experiment, but it failed. Remember the here we go, and then nothing happened? Because the criminals threw it out the window, and then the others decided not to. So, yay! Hi, Bess. Your video is live on Rockfin and probably YouTube.
Yes, it is live on YouTube.
Oh, speaking of YouTube, I forgot to check if we were monetized. Should probably do that. Let's see.
Are you guys trying to send super chats or not? I'm not sure. Let's just double check on.
Or not.
Probably not. Okay. But so back to the Suicide Squad.
Thought of it the last half hour. I mean, you know. Okay. We are live now. We're good. Well, I mean, we were live before, but now super chats are available. Oh, thank you. You can support us on Ko-fi. You can also support us on super chats now. It's a weird thing. So for some reason, our super chats keep getting turned off before our live streams. So every single time we live stream, we have to double check to make sure that they're on. Yay!
Yay! Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie. Yay!
You're awesome.
Can I just take time to say thank you to all of our, like, basically all of you guys, like Bader Batter, Quaker Socialist, Robin, Carrie, J7, people that I can't remember because your name is not right in front of me right now. To all of like the OGs who come to like every live stream and watch our videos. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Cheers to you guys. Cheers to you.
Cheers to you in my Nerdolitics cup.
Get the cup. All right.
Oh my gosh, she put the link.
Thank you, Robin. Robin,
see
you
what
are
I mean?
awesome.
She's awesome.
She's looking to get paid. She really is. She's looking to join the crew. All right.
She's just a real.
I know she's wonderful. I love Robin.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vader. All right. So Suicide Squad. So much death. So we were talking about Harley Quinn, though. So let's finish up on Harley Quinn.
Yes.
That how did you feel about her? Because the way that this was described to me was like basically the general and the showgirl storyline that they had. Like I loved her at the beginning. Like she's just like, okay, shoot with her giant machine gun, you know, her rocket launcher. I was like, that's Harley. Love that. But then the whole general and the showgirl thing that they had going on, like this idea of trying to make Harley Quinn into this crazy Marilyn Monroe type character. I I don't like it. Because I don't feel like
I think that is
I
like
don't feel like that's Harley.
I do. I feel like that is Harley, because that is when they're showing that she is mentally unstable. That like perfect example, right after she has sex with the dude, and she's talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna send anybody who says anything bad about me, I'm gonna send them to Starro," and she shoots him. No preamble, nothing. She just shoots him right in the chest, and I'm like, "That's Harley Quinn." Because, and her explanation is, I'm sorry, but after being with the Joker, I promised myself no red flags. And if I saw a red flag, I'd kill him. And she doesn't she doesn't give him a chance to change his mind or be different. She's like, "Oh, you're the same. Okay, you die now," and moves on.
You see, that I did like.
I love it.
But I didn't like her explanation of what the flag was, of the fact that he was willing to kill kids. It's like, which I mean, I get that that's the thing that they're going with now, because you saw that in Birds of Prey too. But the thing that I didn't like about it was just like, okay, so that was the line that he couldn't cross?
Yes.
Like, basically, like, hello, he basically
egotistical.
kidnapped you, he took you as a prisoner of war, and wanted to marry you.
Yeah. And because, again, she fell... Because okay, so the reason why I like it is because it shows the signs. Remember when I was saying, like, she's a good example of toxic relationships and codependency? That's exactly what happens with codependency, the love bombing. So to me, that was good, because that perfectly showed what love bombing looked like. Yes, he kidnapped you. Oh, but you tell yourself, oh, but he did it because he wanted to be with me.
You got a good point
there. To me, it's like, it was a really good example of love bombing. And at first we're like, oh no, she's going to fall for it again. And then she shoots him and she's like, nope, red flags. Like, it was a very comedic way to do it, but I also think it really worked. Right. So yeah, that's probably one of my favorite parts of the movie.
A Quaker, I actually really like Renegade Cut too. He does make really good videos. Yeah, I'll have to watch that, because I actually do like how Renegade Cut breaks down these things. So I agree with you on that. I'll have to watch it. So, yes, many red flags. Many red flags. But I mean, that is something that I did enjoy, though, which is just like, you know what? I saw all these I promised myself that I ever saw all these red flags again, that I would kill whoever the hell it was. I'm not gonna get myself into that again.
See?
And so, and you know what? I even had to do the Brooklyn accent, because you can't do it correctly without the Brooklyn accent, guys. You cannot do Harley justice.
I love how Harley Quinn, in the beginning, when she's talking to Javelin, she's like, "Oh my God, I love your accent." And then he's like, "Yeah, most American girls do." And she's like, "Because we don't have one." Number one, she has a thick Brooklyn accent. Number two, the meta irony of the fact that it's actually an Australian doing an American Brooklyn accent. Love it. Like, half this cast is from Australia or New Zealand.
Or Britain, for Idris Elba.
Yeah. Well, like, what's his name? The guy who played Rick Flag? He's Australian, isn't he? Joel Kinnaman?
I don't know if he is or not. And then, of course, but, God, who was it who played Javelin? What's his name? Shit. Why can't I think of his name?
Oh, he's Swedish. Sorry, he's Swedish.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were like very few Americans. Who was American? Now that I think about it, basically Sean Gunn, James' brother. Yeah, because you had Brits, a Swedish.
Pat Davidson. He's American. Or Pete Davidson.
I was gonna say, who's Pat Davidson? Oh, Pete Davidson, the guy who has 30 seconds before his head gets blown off. Yes, there's one. Who else? Basically, all the Michael Rooker, he gets blown up in the first 10 minutes. Most of the Americans don't make it. Most of the Americans don't make it through the movie, through the first third of the movie, honestly. Who else? Even Sean Gunn gets blown up. Did you notice that he was also a calendar man, which I thought was like,
I noticed.
It was kind of cool, but it was kind of weird because Calendar Man has a fat head so that all the date, all the months can go around his head.
Oh,
He's
Nathan!
Like,
Nathan Fillion's Canadian.
Yeah, he's still not American though, like U.S. American.
Yeah, he's Canadian.
Sylvester Stallone was a voice. He wasn't in the movie. I mean, his voice was in the movie.
Though.
He's essentially like Groot, basically.
Yeah.
It's like, there's not a lot of Americans, not a lot of U.S. people.
Viola Davis.
We don't have a word for like United Statesian. U.S.ian.
Viola Davis is American.
Viola Davis, yeah.
John Cena. John Cena's American.
Yeah, see, okay, basically the Americans are the villains.
Okay, so let's move on. So let's move on to Peacemaker. How did you feel about Peacemaker?
Oh, he's a dick.
According to Billion and his detachable arms, he did get his arms blown off, man. Whew. There's some weird characters in this movie.
But you know what? He kind of, if you're using it as like a commentary, like a political commentary, he fits. He's the overbuilt, he's like the over muscular, like hyper masculine soldier who does everything for God and country. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. He's going to do it, and he's going to do it to the best of his ability, and he's going to kill whoever he has to.
In the name of peace.
That is like as meta
as American to the T. Yeah.
Yeah. I think James Gunn is making a political commentary with this movie. Now that we think about it, I'm like, wait, that's right. Because you had like Rick Flag, who was like, no, like he's actually a military member. And he's like, I do not stand for this. I am going to stop you. Okay, so for people who haven't watched it, because I just realized like it did just come out. A lot of people may not know what the hell we're talking about. So there's a plot in the movie. Starro, who is a kind of hilarious, but also kind of terrifying character in DC Comics. He's literally just a giant starfish that came from space. And he has spores that can fly out and attach to your face, and it basically takes your consciousness. And when that happens, Starro gets bigger. By the way, quick aside, did anybody else think of Darkest Night when that happened? Because there's a part in Darkest Night where like literally all of like the DC heroes are fighting, and because like the Sinestro joins like the Red Lanterns, who are just like anger and rage. And Starro becomes one of them, and then there's this little fucking cat that is too, and it's hilarious because it's cat's like, so I just thought of like the Darkest Night. Anyway, the comic rant. Anyway, so Starro is kept inside Jotunheim, which is the name of Jotunheim, which is the name of this tower that it turns out German scientists
on Corto Maltese.
In Corto Maltese, yes. That German scientists built, Nazi scientists that like escaped to Corto Maltese. They built this tower, and they were supposedly doing experiments on people, and the U.S. came along and decided to use the surviving Nazis as, or at least this is how I took it. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but anyway, they used the surviving Nazis to basically give to Starro, and the U.S. like captured Starro in space, and then brought him to Corto Maltese, basically as their Guantanamo Bay. Like, so we can't have this on U.S. property, so we've got to have it in some country in the middle of nowhere, and it was basically like their District 13. Like from Hunger Games, it was like, you guys get to say nobody can fuck with us, or we'll take you to the tower and nobody ever returns from the tower. But we get to have a scientist in there doing all these experiments on Starro, because they wanted to weaponize him, because they were trying to figure out how to control him so that they could send him to a population and have Starro take over that population, but still control Starro, which is a terrible fucking idea because you can't control Starro. Throwing that out there. Anywho,
and you had the Thinker on this, and Thinker with all of his little things in his head. He's supposed to be like this the smartest character in all of DC.
Yeah. And he is the one who let it be known that, or who tells us and the Suicide Squad that it was actually the Americans who were funding this and who were doing all of this behind closed doors for the past 30 years. And
so basically their entire
out,
mission that the Suicide Squad is supposed to be on is that they were sent there in order to destroy Jotunheim and destroy basically any kind of record of Jotunheim, and Project Starfish is what they called it. And basically the entire reason that they were doing this was not in order to stop Starro, but in order to cover up the United States involvement in Project Starfish.
Basically, it's the plot of the Winter Soldier. Pretty much. Where Peacemaker is Black Widow, but Black Widow has redeeming qualities. and then she ends up turning against the government, or at least against Shield. Whereas in this, that doesn't happen. Peacemaker follows through and kills Rick Flag
because he wanted to release the information to the media and reveal to everyone what the United States was up to.
It's about 15 minutes late, but yeah, thanks, Robin.
But we've given spoiler warnings already, so I mean, it's okay. If you're still here, you don't care about spoilers, or you've already seen it.
We gave the warning. So basically, Peacemaker, his name is ironic because he will do anything for peace. And it does make you wonder, like, what did he do to get captured? How did he end up in the Suicide Squad? And I have a feeling that he was never captured. He's just like Rick Flag. He's just on the Suicide Squad, and everybody, like, his cover is that he's part of the squad. But he was sent in because you discover, very much like the beginning of Captain America: Winter Soldier, when Steve Rogers thinks that he's going there to save Little Mary and Star, and then he finds out that Black Widow had a separate mission to get all of the files from the ship. Very much the same thing happens where Idris Elba's character Bloodsport was given the mission to destroy the tower, and Peacemaker was given the mission to get the files and either destroy them or at least bring them back, but make sure that nobody else got a hold of them, which is why he was very adamant about being on the team that was going up to see the scientist. And it was kind of funny because Bloodsport was like, why do you care? Like, why? Because Bloodsport was the leader and he'd set up the teams. And then Peacemaker's like, I got to go up there. And Bloodsport's like, no, go down here. Like, what do you care? And then he shows up anyway. And then he ends up fighting with Rick Flag, who kind of, to me, is like, his character arc in both the original Suicide Squad and this Suicide Squad is the actual soldier arc of, like, you got involved because, like, maybe you didn't have a choice, or maybe you genuinely believed in the country and you wanted to fight for your country. And then you get involved, like, after you join, now you find yourself in these different situations doing these different things, and you feel like you don't have a choice anymore. So I feel like it's a very good way of looking at the United States and, like, how we operate.
Yeah, and definitely the fact that, we basically sent mercenaries, which, I mean, they're not getting paid. They're slaves of the U.S. government, but they are getting paid in shorter sentences. So almost like the same as, like, FBI informants, who gets to shorten their sentences or get paid to, spy on other people and, tell the FBI what's going on. They're kind of within that realm of it. But, they're basically mercenaries going into these situations, and their only duty is to complete the mission. That's all they're supposed to do. And if they don't complete the mission, they get their heads blown off.
Yep.
So either you're dead or you get 10 years off your sentence, basically. But
yeah,
But I mean, even if you're dead, you could still technically got out of your sentence. But
Yeah, right. So what they really should have called this was the capitalist squad, because they weren't getting paid.
exploitation of labor.
Yep.
Exploitation of prison labor.
Mm-hmm. I'm hilarious.
So maybe in that way, she is a little bit like Amanda Waller.
Yeah. In that way, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still say she's better for Two-Face because she is Two-Face.
I agree.
Like the coin is the political climate. She goes wherever it is. And just like him, she'll kill, she'll save. Depends on what the coin says. Was Harley Quinn an asshole for bringing an apple to the fight? You know,
Frank is hungry.
You know the movie. Well, the standard for movies is whoever has an apple is an ass. So technically, yes, I don't make the rules.
Girl gets hungry. What are you gonna do? She, fighting makes her hungry.
That's like a trope in movies, though. Like if somebody's eating an apple, they're the asshole. Like if somehow an apple makes you a total asshole. Like when we first see Immortus, he's eating an apple.
Oh,
and he's being kind of a dick too, because he's just kind of making fun of him and like bouncing back and forth. Yeah, it goes along with like the whole Eve being tempted by an apple thing. Like whoever has the apple is the ass. so that's why it's kind of funny where like she was kind of being a dick, because remember when Flag was talking to Thinker, and he was like, if you try to do this, you lose. You try to do that. She's like, if you have personalized license plates, we kill you.
That was a funny scene.
Yeah, so she kind of was being a dick at that time.
I just want to be involved, guys. That's all it is.
Yep.
But that she's a character. Although, what scene I also loved is when they're torturing her. After she killed the general. When she goes. Here's the thing. Okay. But no, the thing that I loved about her torture scene is like, after, she pretends to faint, she pretends to pass out, and they say, okay, fine, well, just you stay here, and, we'll come back later and we'll continue to torture her to get information. And all of a sudden she's hanging there by her arms, and she just all of a sudden she's like, and you just like see the look in her eye, like, oh shit, something's about to go down. And there's like this was a great example of her athletic ability, because in the comics she's a gymnast. The fact that she just pulls herself up and chokes the guy with her legs, and then steals the key with her toes and unlocks herself. I was like, that is a great example of her athletic ability. And you saw that a little bit in the other Suicide Squad when she, she was on the rope and she played dead and then like rolled down, almost like she was on silks. And then
I was gonna say it was a callback to that one.
Yeah,
there are lots of callbacks that make me think that this is, rather than a reboot, an actual sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's too much, like the people who were in the first one are in this one, and they're playing the exact same characters.
Yeah. Well, only like three. There was only like 3 characters from that first movie, because you only had Rick Flag, Harley Quinn, and Boomerang, and of course, poor Boomerang, man. Like I didn't think.
At least he went out well. Like he didn't go down like a punk, you know.
I mean, I feel bad for Jai Courtney, because he never really got a chance to make that character cool. Because they did not do his character. Yeah, that was a great power leg move. It was fantastic. But just they did not do him any favors in the first movie. Like Jai Courtney is not, like, if you watch Divergent, he can actually be a very good bad guy. Yeah. But he's not given that opportunity very often to play a good character. And they didn't let him be redeemed in this movie. They didn't get to give him that opportunity to play a decent character. They killed him in the first 10 minutes.
Yes.
A lot of people died in the first 10 minutes.
When they killed him off and they had like the whole squad ambushed, I actually thought, wait a minute, are they going to kill everybody? And because like I thought they were going to kill off everybody that was from the first movie. But then you think to yourself, like, well, they can't kill Rick Flag and Harley Quinn. And they do kill everybody but those two. But then, like, when they killed Rick Flag, I was just like, You should have seen my face. This is why we need to do movie commentaries. Because like when they killed Rick Flag, I was like I was shocked. I was shocked. I was like, they killed Rick Flag.
I felt that way about Polka Dot Man. I felt that way about Polka Dot Man because Polka Dot Man had such a good arc throughout the movie. And then he's like, at the very end, he's like, I'm a superhero. And Starro kills him. I was like,
yeah, that's kind of like, see, but I
was
saw
like, oh, man.
It was too obvious because he was like, he gets his redemption. His whole arc has been completed. And, you know, it's over. Especially when he says, I'm a superhero. I'm like, oh,
I felt bad, though. I felt bad.
Die. That's what happens. When you self-proclaim superhero status, you get murdered immediately. Like, that's...
Yeah.
But I did like him. He was a good one. He was the only guy who cared about Melvin. Or Marvin. Martin?
Melvin.
Was his name?
So you don't even remember his name.
I'm bad at names.
Melvin? Who's Melvin?
Martin?
We never had anybody named Melvin.
What was his name? I don't even remember. I really
It was
remember.
Melvin.
Melvin, thank you. I said it one of the times. I just threw out a bunch of names. But anyway, he's the only one who remembered him more than I did, clearly. And I love how at the end, Harley Quinn was like, hey, Melvin. He's like, that's not my name.
Wait a second. We just had this whole conversation about the fact that your name is Melvin.
No, we didn't.
Completely different character, Harley. You literally saw him dead on the ground.
Yep.
You're like, oh, that's right, Melvin.
Oh my gosh.
Matthew.
Glow in the dark rainbow pee. I don't think he was peeing when he spelled that.
No, he was. It was his all the polka dots.
Oh
my gosh, that's right.
What?
Matthew's right. It was Milton.
See? You didn't remember his name either. So there you go.
Oh shit.
See?
Oh, well, no, I feel bad.
And you should. Because you got on me about this whole thing. And I had said it. It was one of the 3 names I said.
I don't even think you said Milton, though. Oh my god, now I'm embarrassed.
Marvin, Martin, and they said, I don't remember.
Melvin. It was like Martin, Melton, and I don't think we said Milton. No, I feel bad. I feel bad.
Spell killer shark's name the way it sounds.
Nanawe. That's what his name is, Nanawe. See, that one I know.
The Polynesian sounding names that we got. I can spell Taika Waititi. Don't ask me what one homeboy's name was, though.
Oh,
I love that he was Ratcatcher. There's so many MCU people in this movie. You got Taika as the original Ratcatcher. Pom Clemente shows up as a dancer. You had Michael Rooker, of course, is the Sean Gunn, his brother. Sylvester Stallone. Oh, also Idris Elba, because he's Heimdall.
Oh yeah. Wait, who was Sylvester Stallone in the MCU?
He's in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's one of the Revengers or one of the Ravagers.
Was he?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Sylvester Stallone?
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy
I'll
Part
have
2.
to watch that.
You don't remember Sylvester Stallone? He was the one. He's the guy who kicked out. He's the guy who kicked out Michael Rooker's character from the Ravagers because he went after kids. Because their rule was, even in that movie, no women, no kids. And when
Matthew, I got your memes. Hold on.
When he started going after, when he started working for Ego, and he went after Ego's kids. That when Sylvester Stallone's character found out about it, he's the one who kicked him out of the Revengers. Or I keep saying Revengers, the Ravagers. And then at the end, he showed up to his funeral. He had a whole thing in the movie.
I'm sorry, it's been like honestly, I've only seen the second one like maybe once or twice. I haven't really rewatched it, so I apologize. I don't remember.
Yes, Sylvester Stallone was in the movie J7. He is the voice of King Shark. Can you make it? Yeah. Today's the day.
I'm free.
I think it's really creepy that they decided to make the center for Starro an eyeball. Because in the comics, it's like a slit thing. I mean, I guess you could say it's like an eyeball, but to me, it looks more like kind of like a goat eye or something, because it's like that little thing in the middle, like a lightning bolt kind of deal. It doesn't look like an eyeball. At least not to me.
I'm gonna have to relook at that.
Comic
I feel like
Starro?
I remember it being I feel like I remember it being an eyeball. Maybe we should Google that.
I'm Googling it right.
Today's the day.
Yeah, it's not there. So they're different. It depends on who's interpreting it. It depends on the interpretation of it. Sometimes it looks like he has Captain America's center, like a bullseye. Sometimes he's got the slit. So here.
Okay, are we?
When you're done, I'll show
it. I don't know how to.
And
hey, apparently we're still on the pleasure train here.
That is Sylvester Stallone, by the way.
Yes, that is Sylvester Stallone. Hand. He was funny though. Nom nom.
Yes. No. Well, see, I'm calling.
Although when he was having that little adventure in the aquarium, and he was like running back and forth in the little weird looking fish with giant teeth were like following him, and he's like, "Oh, this is funny." And then as soon as that broke, they all started like trying to eat him like piranhas. I was like, "Holy shit!"
I knew that was gonna happen, though.
Yeah, I know. Like, there's no way this is gonna go well. Oh, that's a good one. Not to worry, I have a permit. I can do what I want in the name of peace. That's a good one.
That's pretty much his character.
Yeah.
Was that the last one?
I think so, yeah.
Most emotional, funniest, best fights, the worst. Yes. I agree. Although I would, I still agree. I was going to challenge it, and then I thought about it. It took me a split second.
That was pretty good.
But I was right. Okay, so here is Starro. Share screen. I have like 1,000 tabs open, so sorry. May take a while. So see, sometimes he's got this like Captain America kind of shield in the center. Sometimes, this is the one I was thinking of. Sometimes he has this little slit. That's what I meant.
You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the aliens from The Simpsons.
Or like this one. See? This is an eye, but to me it looks either like a vagina or like just a little slit. And then sometimes it's just
that if it looks like a vagina, then that just makes the whole idea that Harley pierced the eyeball and went into the liquid. Went into like the eye juice, like that. It totally changes that whole thing.
See, that's what I mean. Like, it could be an eye. If you look at it from a distance, it could be an eye. Or if you just look at it, it could be like a slit.
But I'm telling you, that the way that eye looks reminds me a lot of the aliens from The Simpsons.
Yeah. So he's had different. It's had different, looks throughout the years. This is a mask for Starro, but it's based on. It's based on one of the looks up there. But anyhow, that's why I was like, I don't remember Starro having like an eyeball, but it was like a slit to me. Anyway,
I mean, it looked good.
Oh, J7, don't bring that up again. Like, just let's just let it go. Okay,
I appreciate you, Jay.
Last few minutes left. So we did talk the politics involved within Suicide Squad, which is really awesome. Because at first I was like, "What politics?" And then I was like, "There's actually politics, especially if you get into Peacemaker."
The government cover-ups. Prison labor.
We didn't even really touch on the government coups that were happening that the U.S. helped. The U.S. paid for, and the whole reason why the mission happening right now, why she was like, this is of world importance. It wasn't of world importance. It was of the United States importance. because the coup made it so that there was a coup on Corto Maltese, and the coup made it so that the U.S. backed government, the U.S. backed government was no longer in charge, so the government no longer has any interest there. So the government needs to get their secrets out. That was the whole mission, was to get their secrets out and to make they wanted to destroy Starro and get rid of the evidence that they had anything to do with it. That's the whole mission. It was all about the U.S. covering up their dirty tracks. And in the end, the reason why they knocked her ass out was because the Suicide Squad she told the Suicide Squad, you have to
leave.
Just leave. Starro was like, this is my city now, and he was going to destroy the town. Do you really think that when he was done with Corto Maltese, he would stay in Corto Maltese? No, he's going to go worldwide, just like the Creature in Life. So Suicide Squad wanted to help them. And because remember, with Harley Quinn, like, you don't fuck with women and children. And as they're walking through, it's everybody, women, kids, everybody. And they were like, no, we can't let this happen. And even the people in the office were like, and it also points out to like the bureaucracy. I'm cutting myself off, but like the bureaucracy of what's happening, like when in the very beginning, when they were like, did anybody
making
check on if
wagers?
the weasel can making wagers? Yeah, but did anybody check on if the weasel can swim? And then later on, they were like, wait, we put Ratcatcher on the same team with Bloodshot.
With the guy who's scared of rats.
And nobody ever checked to see if he was afraid of rats. It's like the bureaucracy involved. Just like somebody has an idea, they throw it together, and then they all get mad. Like the leader gets mad that like nobody did the due diligence. But in a bureaucracy, everybody just does their job because everybody hates their job, and you do exactly what you have to do. So, yeah. Thank you, Robin.
Yeah, and we also didn't quite get into the fact that they killed all the freedom fighters. We didn't get into that.
Yes. There's so much politically that we could get into in this movie, but we had to talk about Terminator for 30 minutes.
Oops.
Looking at you, Gary. You know better to challenge us live because we're going to read that shit, and we both have ADD. So who's going to keep us on track? It's just two of us.
We may have to do an after show. So, like maybe we can get off the radio and do an after show.
Maybe.
No offense, radio guys. No offense, radio friends. We love you.
Yes, maybe we could do a premium rock fan where we just talk Terminator.
Ooh, yeah. But no, I feel like we do need to finish talking about the Suicide Squad because there's still so much there that we didn't touch on.
Yeah, we could do an after show and put it up on like Ko-fi, Patreon, and Rockfin. There you go. All right, so thank you everybody who showed up, who listened, all of that for our craziness. Meg, tell the good people where they can find you.
You can find me here every Monday, 4 to 6 Eastern on Nerdolitics with Jackie. You can also find me on the Killjoy Guide. I just had a great interview with Comrade Misty. So on the freedom of speech, check that out. And I'll have a new interview out tomorrow in which I'll be talking to one of the people from Panquake, the new social media platform that they're trying to build over there. So check that out tomorrow. And then Thursday, I'll be doing another live stream I don't have Esha had to reschedule, so I won't have a guest, but I'm going to be talking about the idea of supporting women and what that actually means. Go ahead, Jackie.
And that me. Buy the merch. It's so awesome. It's not just cups. There's t-shirts. There's a bunch of shit. Go on our website, fredhamptonleftist.com. Go to store. You can find all our stuff there. Fun times. Thanks, everyone, for showing up. We try our best, both Jay and Quaker. Thank you guys for being here and being awesome. We'll see you next week.